Brent Schultz, Director of
Hi,
Planning
this
and
is
Building.
Brent Schultz. I'm the Director of Planning and Building Services. Thanks for having me here today. We are really busy. All-time high building permits here, they tell me. I've only been here 2 years, and I know because every time I go up for a building problem up front, they're just cranking on plan checks, and it's just all kinds of things, new houses, additions. But a big thing is cell towers, and we're busy with those. Julia Acker-Krog and I have told all the planners if it's public safety and a cell tower, we want to know where it's at, why it's not coming through the process, what are the problems. I just signed off yesterday two of them, one at the Air Force Base out in Point Arena that's a public safety, microwave dish, I believe, or other expansion of a county system for public safety. Signed that off the minute I heard about it. I mean, within 3 hours, it was signed off by me and out the door and back to our team that's working on that. And then I just got another one on Covelo that came in late yesterday at some temporary, I think it was a backup system they want to put in the town. And it's just a temporary one. That was signed off immediately by Julie and I so they could issue the temporary power to it. I guess it's going into the downtown in Covelo. But one of our problems is, it's not a problem, but the wireless ordinance we have is many times it takes a use permit. So, or if it goes over 50 feet, it takes a use permit. So we have to send it out to resource agencies, compile comments, take it to our planning commission. And we did have one recently, and, you may not like it, you may like it, but I'm not saying, what I think of it. It's just, it was going to connect over 400 people in Willits up in Pine Mountain. And it was a really contentious planning commission meeting, 130 people against it. There was a lot of people for it, and it's going on to the supervisors now for them to make a final determination on it. But that's just, I am told that is that happens here in our county. There's, we need it. And then there's a group that's against it for, the real or not impacts to radiation and what have you. Although, the 96 FCC Act, says if it's not over certain levels, we cannot recommend denial of it. So, and our staff is very aware of that, and they do a good job on their staff reports, and they're a priority for us, is to get them through the process. But we are down planners right now. We're trying to hire back and get people back so we can be at our fighting weight. And but we're really busy right now on many fronts, as Tom knows.
Well, thank you for being here, Brent.
Any questions of me? Thank you very much. A pleasure to be here.
Thank you, Brent. One question I might have. You were very generous with your staff and provided me with mapping of locations of cell towers and presented the issue of the rapidness with which you need to act on those applications for cell towers and the lack of detail or uniformity of the planning documents. I'm wondering whether you might be making any progress on figuring out a system by which you can map all the towers in the county. I know that you are understaffed and overworked, but I bring this up because I know that the county is bringing on board a vista that can be dedicated partial time toward issues of this nature, and that Supervisor Williams might be more involved in the determination about how that person's time will be spent. But I would like to suggest that that might be an angle or a job with which you could get some help from a part-time staffer that will be part of the county crew in the coming year.
Yeah, we need to, you know what, Jeff, we need to have a follow-up meeting on that, because we were given some resources from the board on the broadband, the systems that we have now, the tower systems we have now, and mapping them better, and the FirstNet system analysis that we were going to do, Ted and I talked about. We just haven't had time to get back to it and do those do those tests and things to, remember how we talked about that on at least on FirstNet. But, you know, one of the problems, as you heard from Jesse, we've got them plotted where a lot of these are. We need to go double check they're really there, you know, because we go out and we find other new systems that people put up that we didn't even know existed. So I don't know if we need a helicopter, airplane, or a drone that we can, you know, right? Tom probably says I need a drone to go get the latitude, longitude, take a picture of them, and then document where everything is. We need that.
In an ideal world, yes.
Right?
Well, thanks for your openness.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This is Mike Nicholson, and I'm gonna kind of have a question, Brent. Can you, do you folks at Mendocino differentiate between cell towers and other communication towers and or antennas or what have you that require permitting, or is it all lumped into one category?
You know, I would have, alls I'm seeing, and is the cell towers. When they go over 50 feet, that's typically when I see them, they bring them across my desk. Hey, we have another one. I hear that these microwave repeaters, and Ted, maybe you can help me, that they're just putting those up around, you know, that people,
a lot of the wireless ISPs, I think, are just violating the ordinance and doing it.
yeah.
You know, given we have a complaint-driven system, a lot of people aren't complaining about suddenly having high-speed internet, right? It was probably, I don't know, 10 or 15 years ago, I remember calling the county to say, hey, I'm going to do this. I want you to red tag me because I want to bring it to a head. And it was Dusty Dooley at the time who was at planning. He's now with the city of Willits. And he said, oh, no, please don't do that. We're working on enhancements to the ordinance. And the county did come through on some improvements to differentiate between outdoor Wi-Fi versus a commercial cell tower. But I think, you know, as time has progressed, we've seen it's not quite enough. And the idea of having these artificial limits, you know, if you're under a certain height, it's a much easier process. Well, that means you're not covering some people who are unserved. And if there isn't a safety concern with raising that antenna another 10 feet, why are we making it so difficult? So I have confidence that Brent will put fresh eyes on it and find that there's still room for improvement.
And I think we will. I think we got to get through a few things before that. You know, we got through our housing element. We got to get our safety element and hazard mitigation plan done. A few other things, and then we've got a whole bunch of stuff to do over the next year with a number of ordinances and changes and things that we've got to do, and broadband and this. You know, so we're committed. Julia and I, Julia Ackerkrog, if you've met her, she grew up here. She's a great planner, really bright, really knows it. And we're committed to making this system better. However we can do it, however we can, with the staff we got, we're going to try to get these things through as quick as possible. We know Tom's going to come through for us. I keep telling him, right, Tom? You're going to twist some arms and get us one of these grants. So then we can build off of that.
Brent, are all counties regulating these projects? And the reason I ask is because you need a building permit for your electrical and engineering if you're putting a tower up. If the antenna can't be seen by any public or private locations, why are we even in the business of regulating it? Would we make more progress just by being hands off?
You know, I would love to put a planner on that and like study the other rural counties and what they're doing on it. You know, I'm on this. I haven't had good opportunity to use it, but that's something Julie and we could put out to all the other planning directors. We're on this planning director site. And whenever anybody's trying to do an ordinance, you know, I could put out a questionnaire to everybody and go, how are you doing it? Are you all doing use permits above 50? What is your general plan policies that you had to do? Did you cover this in your EIR for your general plan? And I don't know, maybe Tom, maybe I can talk to you offline. Maybe you know some people who've helped counties on the regulatory side of this thing. I would love something that's, you know, quicker, easier, but I'm not, you know, but I do know like there's a large group here that doesn't like them at all, you know, and doesn't want them anywhere. Doesn't, you know, so because of a perception of harm to them and public safety. And,
I know some counties do use an administrative model, and so it's signed by planning over the counter.
boy, I would love some kind of model like that. We could, move quicker. We could get some of these out, get people covered. Boy, that would help the school. My son's a teacher. He's complaining about, he wants his kids back in the class, and he's, they're all, Michelle, we go riding on our bike and he tells me I don't even get to say anything. He just tells me all I'm like his counselor, but I just tell him, hang in there. This is about you. You said you want to come up and help the kids up here, and you're helping them. So, but I agree with Ted. It'd be nice to have like a minor use permit or admin permit or something we could do quicker.
Brent, Mike Nichols here, and I had one further question. Many times the towers are erected by a third party for either AT&T, Verizon, or US Cellular.
Yeah.
And what we found here in Sonoma County in trying to map where the AT&T towers are or the Verizon towers are, it's really difficult for us to determine because many times the third parties were the folks that applied for the permit, and our permitting department did not delve deeper and say this is an AT&T project or this could be a Verizon project and so forth. So in trying to research and trying to determine where these towers are, which is a big mystery, and the phone company or the providers will not tell us where they are. They say, go to your permitting department. The permitting department doesn't have the information. Do you delineate further in your permitting process when a third party applies for a tower, who the tower is for, and is that kept in your records?
Yeah, we do. I've seen that in our records. It's, Crown Consulting or some firm, and then it says AT&T or US Cellular, and we document that. And my understanding is they recently started plotting these latitude, longitude on our mapping, but there's older ones that they're not sure they even exist, that, they'd like to go out and map where that all is and make sure that's precisely where they are.
Exactly. And it's the same problem when you're trying to find out where they are, whether or not they do have backup generators to power them during PSPS events.
Yeah. And we're three, one of my planners says, Brent, we're 3 times the size of Rhode Island. It's going to take us some time to go find them all.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, Brent.